Welcome, everybody. I'm excited to have you today here at the PIHRA and SHRM Foundation webinar, Untapped Talent and the Opportunity Youth Case. Um, like I said, please start networking in the chat. We want this to be interactive. Most of the time, we want you to comment, ask questions in the chat. We may have some time for you to ask questions live, depending on how our time goes, but I'm really happy to have you here. My name is Liliana Arguello. You can call me Lily. I am the Director of Membership at PIHRA. And before we begin with the presentation and the agenda, just a little housekeeping. There are handouts and slides to this, which we will distribute after this afternoon at some time. Again, we want this to be interactive. Please use the chat box right now. Let us know where you're zooming in from. And we want to make sure that we can connect with you afterwards. So please put in your LinkedIn URL so we can connect. Also, this webinar has been approved for one recertification credit by SHRM and HRCI. You will receive your certificate of attendance at the end of the webinar, and I'll also make sure to email it to you. Today, I'm happy to be joined by some subject matter experts that will help us explore an important and impactful talent acquisition and development topic: hiring, training, and retaining opportunity youth. As an inner city kid and a product of the Los Angeles School District, this is an important topic to me. I like to donate my time when I have some extra time working with youth. I like working with college students. So this is a topic that's important to me and to my heart. So really excited to get going. So let's first review the agenda for today. We're going to be doing some introductions and topic overview. Again, kind of alluded to the topic already. One of our guests, who will be introducing themselves shortly, will present research on hiring opportunity youth that was published through the SHRM Foundation. We'll also be reviewing some ways to partner with organizations in the community to help with this talent acquisition strategy. We'll discuss some benefits and potential concerns about recruiting and hiring within this talent in a panel type of discussion. So again, get your questions ready. We have a great panel that is ready to answer those questions as time allows. And then we'll just wrap up. We have until 1 o'clock. I'm predicting that we're going to use all that time. 1 o'clock Pacific time. And let's see, next slide is about our objective. So our objective with this webinar is to explore key insights into the benefits and challenges of hiring opportunity youth, which we will define what opportunity youth is for you. We'll discuss some practical strategies to address concerns and tap into this talent group. We'll also gain some insights on how to leverage partnerships with organizations like Big Brothers and Big Sisters. We'll learn about some real world success with this hiring strategy. And then we'll work together to identify some next steps so that you can adopt this talent strategy at your organizations. So I'm just going to pause a moment. I see so many um, great comments here. Okay. Um, let's go to introductions. Elizabeth, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure, I'd be happy to. My name is Elizabeth Combe. I am the manager of foundation programs with the SHRM Foundation and lead our Untapped talent efforts. I'm not sure if Aaron's been able to join yet.
Yes, he's here with us.
Oh,
Yeah, you
good.
doing, Elizabeth?
Go ahead. Then I'm turning it over to you, Aaron.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm Aaron Dill, the Director of External Affairs for Big Brothers Big Sisters of Orange County and the Inland Empire. I'll get over to Marvin. Dr. Carr.
Awesome, great. Hello, everybody. My name is Marvin Carr. I work for Walmart and the Walmart Foundation, and I lead a portfolio of grant making that supports hiring and advancement for opportunity youth. So it's great to be with you.
Fantastic. Thank you. I go by first names Marvin. I hope you don't mind, but you are Dr. Marvin Carr. So really excited about this next portion. So let's hear from the SHRM Foundation. Elizabeth, let's talk a little bit about the SHRM Foundation and this research that was done.
Sure. I'm hopeful that everyone on the line knows who SHRM Foundation is, but just in case you don't, we are the C3 nonprofit of SHRM. Since you're all members of SHRM through PIHRA, I know you know who that all, but we have with SHRM and PIHRA a collective vision of a world of work that works for all. And so we work with our strategic partners like Big Brothers Big Sisters, philanthropy and corporate partners like Walmart to advance initiatives. And in this instance, it's around opportunity youth to educate and provide awareness as well as resources around how this particular population is an incredible talent pipeline for you and the jobs that you have to fill in your order. So that's kind of what we do. You can skip through the next next slide.
Skip.
You can skip through that. So you can skip through this too, because I want to be conscious of time and get to it. That's how we do it. So what I really want to dig into is the population here. Opportunity youth are defined as young people between the ages of 16 to 24 who are neither enrolled in school nor participating in the labor market. Their estimated opportunity, there's about 4.7 million of them. Some of them may be at risk of dropout of school. There's some you'll hear about it through the Big Futures program that Big Brothers Big Sisters have, but trying to capture them from all places. And they're disproportionately kids of color. They sometimes are people who have justice impacted lives, either through trouble that they've gotten into themselves or because they have parents in prison. A lot of them are transitioning out of foster care. So they are kids who have been disconnected from a lot of systems, but who are in the process through the community partners like Big Brothers and Big Sisters of getting reconnected and need that opportunity to change the trajectory and establish opportunity within workplaces to grow and realize the talent that they are. So let's go to the next slide. So we put out in April of this year with support from Walmart business SHRM research on this, and we'll share a QR code at the end of this at the end of the presentation. You'll get it too. Really encourage you to read it in depth because it will have a lot of deep details in there and that I'm just going to touch on here. But why we really wanted to do it is we wanted to talk about the business case. A lot of HR professionals are very bought into the argument of employing opportunity youth because it's a good thing to do. But the reality is that it's also a very smart business case. What we were able to find through the research we did is that organizations that invest in hiring this population are less likely to be experiencing talent shortages. These workers perform at or better than other workers. And then to dispel any myths or notions that people might have, we also tested the consumer market, and most U.S. consumers are comfortable with organizations that patronize, and we even got a number of comments back saying that they would frequent an establishment knowing that they had done that. Next slide, please. So want to dig into this a little bit. I'll let you guys take a look at the slide, but really the headline that I want to leave with all of you is that the attributes that people were concerned about in terms of hiring this population was the exact same attributes that people had for hiring any young and experienced worker. So it was a really telling research point for us because it means that what we're going to provide to you is here's a talent pipeline If you're hiring youth already, here's a talent pipeline that you can access instead of kind of the unknown kid with the resume. You have some of the CBO backing and some of the strategies we have, and it might be a way for you to fill positions even quicker than you're currently doing. Next slide. There was a significant amount of strengths of opportunity youth that people spoke to. And again, these are slides that we're going to share, so I don't want to kind of go over point by point. But the big highlight I want to leave you with is that they infused new energy and thought and talent and perspective into organizations, expanding the opportunity for the business. And that's where we were talking about it, is not only is it a talent strategy, but it was a good for bottom line business piece. Next slide. So as I said, the deck that we have or the research that I really encourage you to download and take a look at goes into some very specific strategies and solution pieces. But what I really wanted to touch on is kind of the three highlights for you, which is around if you implement a formal program or a formal relationship for targeting opportunity youth, you'll have wild success in hiring this population. If you engage with community partners, like Big Brothers Big Sisters and like other ones that we work with, you create basically an open talent pipeline. And then, as you know, from the foundation has done a lot of work on this, and it is what we all talk about anyways, is taking a skills-based hiring approach will bring this group of population in quicker than just kind of looking at degree candidates and, you know, having your systems and people and culture predisposed to kiddos with degrees. One thing I did not mention, but one of the things that we see anecdotally, and we saw it in the comments for the employer perspective, is, and that we're going to be looking to kind of document out in the next couple of years. Opportunity youth have higher retention rates. So it's yet another reason why it's a talent advantage to be engaged with this population. So with that, I am going to turn it over to Aaron to talk about what a community partnership, what it looks like in terms of the resources that are out there for you to support you looking at this population as a talent strategy.
All right. Thanks, Aaron.
Awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for doing that, Elizabeth. Thanks for queuing me up. Yes, Big Brothers Big Sisters of America is the oldest and most longstanding mentorship organization in the United States. We've celebrated 120 years this year, and with over 270 affiliates across 50 states and operations in 12 countries, we pride ourselves on making a global impact in youth mentorship. Our Tri-County affiliate covers Orange County, San Bernardino County, and Western Riverside County, or is known as the Inland Empire for anyone from Southern California. We provide tailored support to people from ages 6 to 24 through a number of different models, but including community-based and other site-based models that we'll get into. And our commitment is grounded in the belief that every single young person should have the resources, guidance, and support to be successful and to achieve success in the future. And if you look on this slide, again, I don't want to go through each point, but you see our reach. We have a little over 3,900 youth that we served in the past year between our Tri-County. We have about 719 families that were touched and connected with, over 118 community-based partners, and that's from everything. We provide wraparound services with our partnerships. I know Elizabeth just mentioned the importance of partnerships, but that's really what this is all about. So we definitely pride ourselves in those relationships and making sure that we have services available to not just our mentees and our mentors, but the families that come with them. So we do everything from immigration support, housing support, food insecurities. It's across the board. So I'm very proud of that. And we also have a number of partners, including 200 corporate partners, 209 corporate partners, 111 K through 12 education partners, and 15 higher education partners. You can see the demographics of what we serve. It looks similar to the demographic of the area that we cover, and then our programs. Our community-based mentoring model is what we started with. That's what we were founded on. We provide youth with structured one-to-one mentorship experiences outside of the traditional classroom or workforce experiences. And it creates a personalized engagement between our mentors and our mentees, or as we call them, bigs and littles. So our big will pair with the little between the ages of 6 to 16 and it'll create a dedicated support system for that little, and whether that's at home, whether that's in the community or in shared activities. The flexible space allows our bigs to connect on a more personal level, building that trust and fostering resilience. And I just want to touch on a couple of the programs under community-based mentoring. Big Couples is very similar to the regular community-based model, but instead of having a one-to-one model, it's 2-to-1. Obviously, you have a couple. They come in and they say, "Hey, yeah, we want to mentor a young person age 6 to 24," and we just send them on their way. We make sure that they're vetted. We do extensive fingerprinting and background checks, but we make sure once we know who they are, we're able to connect them with the person who's very similar to them in terms of personality. Our Sports Buddies program is a very successful male-centered space because it's simply you come to the park, you play catch, you play football, we play basketball. I play basketball personally. So I always have fun pulling up with the kids and just enjoying and connecting on that level. And then I think we found a lot of success in the male volunteers without having that commitment level. Our Big Futures program, which was also covered by Elizabeth, thank you for queuing that up again. That is our college and career readiness network of different programs that aims to equip the youth for post-secondary success by providing career, mentoring, education, and access to key opportunities. And the main goal here is to create social capital that empowers each participant to graduate with the plan for their future and to mentor someone, and those impacts will last a lifetime. Can we go to the next slide? Oh, I'm sorry. If I could just go back before I jump into the deeper post-secondary structure. Our high school bigs program is a part of our Big Futures program. It's a robust site-based model where a junior or a senior, normally, unless you have a very mature sophomore, which has happened, will go to a elementary school and mentor them once a week. We've seen success on both sides of that spectrum, so I want to make sure to give them a big shout out. That's a huge component of our team now. And then our workplace mentoring, which I'll get into a little bit. We can go to the next one. Thank you. So what do post-secondary students need to thrive? If we were in an open model, I'd ask that question and ask the crowd, but let's go into the next one. So as you can see here, our key components. So youth as young as 16 within our workplace mentoring model.
Aaron, if I could just
Yes.
interrupt for a second.
Please.
I know you frame this as post-secondary, but this workplace mentoring also applies to anybody in opportunity youth. And I know in talking with Big Brothers, that is also kind of part of the population you serve. So I don't want to get people completely stuck in that these are kids in school, because they could be in a certificate program, they could be community college, they could be in nothing. But this mentoring is an incredibly important part of workplace mentoring, and something that we showed was key to success for opportunity youth.
Yes, yeah, great point. And just to further that and piggyback on that, it's all about recruitment, on that aspect, because where you're pulling these students from, that's got a huge major impact on who comes in and participates in the program. So we pride ourselves in going to those spaces where we can speak and directly connect to opportunity youth. So that's something that we definitely pride ourselves on. But thank you for that. But yeah. These workplace mentoring partnerships It is a professional work environment where a corporate partner comes in and mentors a young person as young as 16, but all the way up to 24. These partnerships offer this, exposure to the industry standards, real world skills. They enhance the youth's preparedness for the workforce. In return, our corporate partners benefit from shaping future talent. We have internships, externships, scholarships, and job placement. And Elizabeth touched on that as well. But that creates a beautiful pipeline of skilled, job-ready candidates who are, well aligned already with industry needs. So we've seen a lot of success in that. And then some of our affiliates, as mentioned before, they do scholarships. So if you are part of the Big Futures program with some of our affiliates across the nation and globally, you do have access to scholarship opportunities. So I see in the chat, do you guys have anything for people with 25 to 26 years of age? Okay, so the folks who are a little bit older, we found that everyone needs a mentor, regardless of the age, regardless of, where you come from, what your background is, what your, what your parents make. Every single person needs a mentor, deserves a mentor, could benefit from having a mentor. So I've actually stopped saying 6 to 24 when I'm out speaking with folks, because I think our oldest mentee right now is 40, if I'm not mistaken. But that just goes to speak to, this is the day and age that we are working in. People change careers, people, find themselves in a different space where they also need a mentor. But again, every single person, regardless of what your background is, regardless of what your ethnicity, demographic, whatever, you need a mentor, and it helps to have a mentor, to have a support and have a guide with you. But just to jump back in it, you can see here the key components. But one of the biggest benefits of the workplace mentoring program is our college and career work. We have a college and career specialist that plays a pivotal role in guiding youth and through the complexities of like college applications, financial aid, professional pathways, workforce development professionals. I'm sure everyone knows it's important to have guidance, especially going into things like FAFSA, college selection, career exploration. We want to provide a space that's safe to ask questions. We have monthly workshops and we offer real life experience that we've seen to have really good effects on our participants. And those sessions will cover anything from SAT prep, interviewing skills, resume building, a lot more. But I just want to be conscious of time. But we just want to make sure that all of our participants who go through the Big Futures program or workplace mentoring, even high school bigs, we want to make sure that everyone's equipped with making an informed and a good decision about their future. And then we can go to the next slide, please. Okay, and this is just a example of a virtual workshop facilitated by our workplace mentoring team. Amazing team, amazing team. I say that because my workplace mentoring counterparts are directly on the other side of this wall. But this is just showing the dynamic and meaningful engagement between our bigs and littles. And they're going through a interview session, an interview readiness session. So we can go to the next one. But shout out to them. They're an amazing team for sure. And this is a flyer from one of our hybrid cohorts that we hosted last year. I know Elizabeth also mentioned community colleges and the value that's there. I personally went to a community college. I went to San Bernardino Valley. That's where I started my educational journey. And I transferred to a 4-year, and it was very helpful to save. I think it was $24,000 that I saved by not having to finish that last year at the 4-year college. So it made a tangible difference in my life. And started my career, with less debt, with less than, with 25,000 less in debt. But this is a flyer from an ongoing partnership with a community college in Norco, California, and I believe the corporate partner that we work with here is Altura Credit Union, and it's a extremely robust program. We always have a wait list, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing. And okay. So we kind of already covered this. I'm not going to spend too much time here, but these are some of the benefits. We talk about equity, we talk about opportunities. and providing those safe spaces for people, especially folks of color, especially first generation students, especially, justice impacted youth. These are all, opportunity youth on paper. But the benefits of, going through the workplace mentoring program is adding that positive relationship with adults, recreating that social network and that social capital that, that gives you a network and a space to thrive and to connect with that's outside of yourself that you didn't really have to build, but you have access to it because it's not who you know, or it's not what you know, it's who you know in a lot of these places. And personally, every job that I've ever had, no, that's not accurate. Every job that I've had, except for one, with one exception, has been because I knew someone who was either a part of that organization or someone put in a good word with a leader of that organization. So it truly is, I'm a product of, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And the workplace experiences, it offers opportunities for hands-on learning and exposure to new environments, and that's huge. One story that I tell often is I wanted to be a lawyer for most of my life. I started school as a pre-law student, and I moved over to political science. In college, I did an externship with a workers' comp firm in Redlands, California, and I found that it just ruined every day just going to work. I felt so bad waking up. I felt like I was doing a disservice to myself, to the community, working on the insurance side of workers' comp. And I would never have had, that knowledge if I didn't actually go in and go through that externship. So I really appreciate that. And I'm happy to say that I am not an attorney. I love connecting with people. I love, giving people the keys and the mentorship they need to thrive. And that's where I feel is my calling. So I appreciate that we offer, workplace mentoring or Big Futures in our program. We offer that space for students to understand, hey, this is something that I really wanted to do all my life, but I don't have to stay there. I can make a move. I can pivot. I can ask my mentor, hey, what would you do in this space? And they can give you good advice. I've definitely done that more than one occasion. But we go to the next one. Awesome. And then some of our results, some of these were already mentioned based on the study. But yeah, 86% of our participants are less likely to engage in risky behavior. You can see here the impact on mental health, the impact on social interactions and improved skills with just networking or just speaking and having that connection with other students and other community members. And then just in terms of demographics, we serve 87% of our Tri-County area, of the cities in our Tri-County area. 98% of our youth graduate high school on time. I'm very proud of that stat. 83% of our participants experience improved or maintained academic performance. I'm very proud of that as well. And then lastly, we have a 40% increase in number of mentors that see themselves as community leaders. And I think that just goes back to our dedication to our bigs, our dedication to our mentors, and the real life, positive impact, the positive change that they make every single day of their lives. And I call them superheroes. When I see them, I say, hey, you're a superhero, because that's truly who they are. They're truly making a difference. And it's not, it may not be the most glamorous, it may not be the best in terms of recognition, but these are the people who make a difference in our community, and we definitely support and appreciate them for giving that time and giving their energy for or to youth who haven't had that opportunity necessarily. And I think, is that the last slide?
Yeah, let's move into
Awesome.
did you want to add something, Elizabeth?
Yeah, well, actually, what I wanted to do was connect some dots and ask Marvin to speak for a second. So one of the reasons that the foundation is partners with both partners with Big Brothers Big Sisters is they straddle the line through their Big Futures program and their kind of existing program for kids who have connections to support systems, and then kids who don't necessarily have connections to support systems where other CBOs are acting in those wraparound services and everything.
Right.
But all of those kids, the mentoring is a benefit to them, and is the talent pipeline. And so what I wanted to do is ask Marvin to just speak to why Walmart is investing in this space, and kind of the reality of opportunity youth, and how much a talent pipeline and employers can make a difference in their lives.
Thanks for bringing me in, Elizabeth. So, I mean, it's no secret, Walmart is the largest employer in the world. But it also means that Walmart is also the largest employer of youth in the world. Almost 30% of our associates, that's almost 480,000 associates, are between the age of 16 and 24. And one of the things that we have thought through recently is, great, as a company, how do we ensure that we are recruiting, retaining, and advancing that specific talent? And we know that because of the demographic of our young people, many of them fall into this opportunity youth population. That they may come from communities or from experiences that have an adverse advantage. And so for our work, we're really focused on figuring out what is the return on investment and the strategy for bringing young people into the workforce. And I have an hypothesis, right, that we're trying to work through with SHRM, and that is companies like Walmart, like your companies, spend billions of dollars a year on contract recruitment firms and temp agencies. And I have an hypothesis that if our companies considered relationships with community organizations to support us in the recruitment, advancement, and support and retention of talent, that one, because those CBOs, community organizations, and NGOs, non-government organizations have a vested interest in the outcome of the young people, that we might see better outcomes, increased outcomes and support and success for that young talent. And on the other side, that means for our companies and for our talent profiles, less turnover, less cost associated with recruitment and advancement because of these unique relationships that we can create with these CBOs providing wraparound services. And so with the work of SHRM, with the work of other partners, we've launched and supported the Unlock Potential program, which is helping companies like Walmart and Sam's Club, Delta Airlines, Hilton Hotels, and several others start this pilot program where hiring managers from these companies are working directly with local organizations that might be like a Big Brothers Big Sisters, or that could be like a Big Daughter of Dallas, or a local Greek organization to provide their services for recruitment and advancement of talent. We're investing in that space, trying to make the case that this is another approach or option that companies might make in getting to this very specific, but also super important talent demographic.
Marvin, we have some HR professionals from large restaurant chains here with us today, with some large sport arena organizations. And if I were them, I'd be asking you, what are the types of success stories that you've heard of or you've seen at Walmart, specifically regarding opportunity youth? I know Elizabeth talked about there's some retention benefits there. Anything that you can share with this group right now?
So many great stories. So about 3 weeks ago, and I'll share a link in the chat. We invited 2 of the young men who were participating in the Unlock Potential program at the Memphis Walmart Distribution Center. So these are young men who just 6 months ago were in the juvenile justice system. And they participate in this program where they get a mentor, they get support from their local organization, but also the on-the-ground Walmart staff. And started off as an internship, but we brought them to Walmart global headquarters a couple of weeks ago, where they got on-the-spot supply promotions into full-time $27 an hour jobs. And the joy on their face, and I'll share the LinkedIn post, it's just something I will never forget. But for me, the most important thing was the joy on our CEO's face, right? And the joy on Walmart's global talent, global head of HR and people's face, when they saw that we took a chance on these young people, and they had these amazing outcomes, right? And if we apply that same lens to the other 30% of our staff who might fall in that range, what that means not only for Walmart and our associates, but for our customers and for the community we serve, right? And taking this kind of asset-focused approach to support these young people and the managers, right? One of the biggest things you should know is that getting kind of the local managers, local people teams, and involved in this kind of mentor-focused associate training and advancement also makes them feel more connected, a sense of belonging and purpose that also we hope will lead to their longevity in the company as well.
I love that story. They're getting promoted out there. Fantastic. I know Amy Toyama, you have a question about anything to consider when hiring opportunity youth to work with children. Can any of you comment on that? Is it the same for opportunity youth? I mean, I know I worked at the Girl Scouts of Greater LA. Everyone was background checked. So anything that you could add there?
There's no difference. You would run whatever traps you run now for how people work with children. There may be in a population some kids who are just as impacted, but that will come up in kind of whatever your standard practices are. It goes back to that research point. It's just like hiring any other youth of that demographic.
And I would just
Yeah,
go ahead, Dr. Carter.
No, go ahead. I was going to say, to that point, a small percentage of opportunities are just as impacted. So when you think about the demographic, these are young people who are in foster care or who are in foster care. These are young people who have parents in prison who may not just have the support to continue and finish their higher education. And so oftentimes there isn't an issue with background checks. It's mostly, do they have the opportunity and support from communities and the openness of hiring managers to bring them in and provide them opportunities for advancement.
Yeah, and those were two amazing points. I would just add in, just in addition to those amazing points, I would look for candidates, with resilience and adaptability, and a genuine passion for the mentorship that you're looking to do. And then also emotional intelligence is a huge thing, working with youth in this day and age. So I would make sure that they have a good understanding of the youth that they'll guide, and make sure that there's no implicit bias or things like that. But that's just across the board. It's not really opportunity youth thing. And one quick story that I'll share about one of our bigs. His name is Isaac. I'll actually have to let him know that I brought his name up. But he's actually one of our bigs that was justice impacted. And to Dr. Carr's point, he is adamant about being the person that he never had. So he's had one little for the past 2 years, I believe, and they do a ton of things together. Isaac was just in one of those situations where he was in the wrong spot at the wrong time. He ended up, just falling and becoming a statistic. But coming out of that space, he has been a huge supporter of this program, huge supporter of his little. So I would definitely even recommend that, for yourself too. To the person who asked the question, definitely recommend it, highly recommend it.
So, Lily, Vince has asked a question of, for what reasons are companies more likely to retain opportunity youth as employees? Would like to present some stats, facts to help convince with the bottom line. I need to get you some of those. Some of that is what we're still working on. So I can do some extrapolation for you and then some anecdotal, Vince. But the reality of it is this is a population, you just mentioned Isaac's kind of commitment, is they have been without, many of them have not had positive structure in their life or positive system in their life. And so when they come into a company that has welcomed them, that is giving them the opportunity to promote and advance, there's a higher sense of loyalty to that company. It may be the first, it may be for opportunity youth, the first time they've experienced an economic pathway, a pathway to economic opportunity. So they see pathways within companies that, as my poor kid, I always throw my son under the bus in these conversations, but that my son, Marcus, who's a college degree kid who thinks the world should be handed to him, sometimes too often, even when his mother tries to correct him of that. So he has a very different perspective when he goes into the workplace as besides that opportunity youth who is seeing this as, wow, this is an opportunity, and they run with it. We've been able to see those stats, and there's documented studies for older people in circumstances, and we're looking to pull down some of those specific studies. Marvin's got it from some of the unlocked potential, but we don't have a huge kind of, here it is, the compelling yet.
That's such a great point that
Yeah. And
they want these sorts of jobs. They're not getting these opportunities anywhere else where, my teenager, I will help them find an engineering internship, So I know there's another question, but this conversation kind of made me ask, and it was something I jotted down. Are there any ways that HR needs to help any strategies to help retain opportunity youth that are different than the general population? Because I'm hearing that opportunity youth is the same as any teenager or young adult, but is there anything different that our folks might need to consider?
I would just jump in and I'm gonna leave it to the professionals, but I'll just jump in and say personally what I've seen. Um, Space, guidance, patience, these are things, mentorship, these are
Yeah, I was
things
gonna say
that
mentorship was what the research
yeah.
showed us.
Yeah. And I'll tell a personal story. When I first got to my first big boy job in my career, I was a field rep for the state assembly, working in Riverside County. And I sat down and my boss told me, hey, send an email to a organization, let them know that we're doing X, Y, and Z. So I started off the email, hey, need to talk to you. Almost hit send. And that was my email. Didn't have any sort of signature, nothing, no name. It was no hi, So I had to be taught, how to format. Things are not shown to a lot of opportunity youth. And I know that being, from San Bernardino, a great city, but there are a lot of opportunity youth there. And for that being my hometown, I've seen it. So just patience, mentorship, I think that would be, the most.
I think one of the things I think a lot of it has to do with um, the narrative that we hold as professionals and HR leaders about who these young people are, right? The fact of the matter is they have one thing in common. And that one thing in common is that they are either out of school or out of work. That's about it. Right? The experience and opportunity is as wide ranging, right? You might have a kid who aged out of foster care and spent a year homeless and is trying to get back on their feet. And so that young person might need different supports and services than a different young person. And so that's actually what I would say. I think that part of it is education about the experiences that young people have.
And Lily, if I could add to this, this is one of the things, and it goes back to the research and goes back to kind of why we have partnerships and what we encourage HR professionals to do here. This is where partnering with a CBO who is supporting that child or that young adult in both to kind of get them to the point where they've applied for that position, but for them to also be successful in that position is so important. And so the partnership with CBOs, to kind of Marvin's point, it creates this talent management pipeline that you can have to a young adult population, but it also creates a relationship so that if there are issues, if Aaron didn't have somebody to, you say, okay, this kid doesn't know how to write emails, they can come back and support them in doing that or anything like that. But even more likely, to the point that Aaron was mentioning, they've probably done a lot of that stuff too. Like, again, I'm going to Marvin, if you ever meet my son, you can never tell him I do this to him all the time. But my son Marcus is never going to come to me and tell me he doesn't know how to write a professional email. Whereas an opportunity youth will have been working with a Big Brothers, Big Sisters, or another CBO, and they're going to say, hey, let's teach you how to write good email. So there's some leapfrogs that you get from some of that services of the CBOs that that gives some, and sometimes I think it's edge to other kids of the same age.
And I'll add to that as well. That is, so one of the investments that we're making, we've provided almost $4 million in grants now to build the infrastructure in the country, across the country, of CBOs prepared to support companies in that way. And I'll share some additional links here. But that's the work of philanthropy, that's the work of government, to make sure that our team-based organizations know the needs of companies and of employment professionals, know how to connect with employment professionals and recruiters. And part of the issue is that CBOs and communities don't see themselves as a part of the workforce strategy of companies. We're trying to help these smaller organizations that know who these young people are, but also know who veterans are. They know who the new Americans who need support are. So how do we support these community organizations and being prepared to support you in advancing your talent?
Right, which leads us to, I think, an important question. If anyone here is wondering, well, how do I get access to these opportunity youth, this population? Aaron, what would be the next step if someone here wants to go to Big Brothers Big Sisters and say, hey, I need to staff my restaurant, or I need to staff these concerts I'm hosting, or whatever's going on. You're in Orange County. I think there's some folks here from Orange County. What are the next steps in working with a group like yours?
Yeah. I'm happy to connect, happy to have that conversation. I think that's all it is, just a conversation and understanding that, we have alignment. But we serve the Inland Empire and Orange County. So it's a vast network. And we also have 14 different affiliates within California. So anywhere within California, anywhere within the United States, I can kind of gauge, who to really put you with. But we're always looking for opportunities for our littles, our mentees, or our young adults, looking for, opportunity for employment, and also just mentorship overall. So yeah, I'm happy to connect. I'll throw some links in the chat as well. I'll throw my LinkedIn there as well. But just reach out.
So, and I would say from the SHRM Foundation side of things, in terms of some of our upcoming work that we're working on, is the question back that we've gotten back from people. So, and there's another side of it, which I'll share in a second. And so we've been in conversation with Marvin on basically creating some type of, here's the list in your area and here's what they provide kind of piece. But for now, you can kind of do the Big Brothers, or we will, Lily and I can work together, and we'll specifically get out some that are in your general community that are good CBOs to reach out to. But we're hoping to make it a very easy process for you going forward, because that's one of the big questions we have, or we've gotten back. The other piece that we've gotten, just to share with the HR professionals on the line, is just to ask for some FAQs. Vince, you mentioned about, to kind of the internal cell, pulling together some of that resources for you, the recruitment plan, what it would look like, so that you could have some samples of what those are, so that you can customize them for your workplace. So one of the great points that was made with a convening that we did, that Lily participated in, and someone else from Big Brothers and Marvin, was the HR professionals said, help me reduce my cost of focus and I'll adopt this quicker as a strategy. And so we're really looking at how the foundation can help do that for you, and all those strategies are linked to it.
So that's the future
And to
of
that
what
point, some of the
go ahead.
I was going to say, and to that point, on the other side of that, is some of our upcoming investments are figuring out how do we platform, how do we platform access to the youth, and so how do we create a very clear way for companies who are interested in the specific demographic to connect with the youth, but also to connect to the community organizations that have access to the youth and might support them and to support them services. One of the biggest issues with the population, that's also with a lot of populations that might be disadvantaged, is transportation. And so imagine your company being able to partner with the community organization to solve the transportation issues for your staff or for a demographic that you're working with. And so we're making investments over the next 6 to 12 months that we hope to roll out so that more companies have direct access to the talent. No pressure to Elizabeth or SHRM.
No, but you know what? I'm so excited. I think about this, and I really am deeply appreciative to PIHRA and the HR members who are on this call, because honestly, it was only a year ago that we were explaining who Opportunity Youth were and why they should be a talent pool. And the questions we're getting now are, how do I get to them? What do I do? That, you know, those kind of things like that. So we're already kind of on our way to kind of making the point that this is a talent pool that you should be accessing, that is a solution to some of your strategies and will have an incredible ROI for your business. So I actually feel very grateful for a lot of these questions.
I'm excited about it too. Me and my colleagues have been doing work around when there was a talent shortage before the pandemic, right? And looking at recently incarcerated the population, those with different abilities. We've been working with folks about neurodiversity. So this is a important DEI issue to me, and we need to continue talking about it. I don't see any other questions. So if there aren't, or if someone wants to unmute, just raise your hand. I'll give you like 15 seconds. If not, we're just going to go into the last wrap-up phase of this call. All right. Well, let's wrap this all up. Thank you so much to our fantastic panel. Elizabeth, she gave me this QR code in case you want to download this fantastic research that's already been done. I'll leave this up for a moment. Any last words, Elizabeth, while we're on this slide?
No, just that I will put my email in the chat, but we are here to answer additional questions, learn from you as well. This is an initiative that we only launched in April of this past year. I guess earlier than that, we were getting the research into place. But we want to make sure at the foundation that we are being responsive to what workplaces need in order to hire the talent pipeline. So we have lots of different ways we're doing it, including working with PIHRA, but anybody who wants to kind of reach out to Lily and I with ideas, strategies, please do.
Fantastic. We need a CBO in LA County area too, so we'll work on that for you all. And Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. Here is a QR code for their annual report. I think there's his email address. He's put it in the chat. Feel free to reach out. Maybe next year around this time, we'll do a career fair just for Opportunity Youth. Wouldn't that be
I
cool?
love it. Yes.
With some CBOs here in SoCal. So, and finally, you will be getting these slides. We will be talking a little bit more about talent acquisition and management at the California HR conference in May of next year. So I'll leave this up. And thank you so much. Sonia, all right, she loves the CBO and career fair idea. We'll have to get some funds for doing something like that. Hang out a little bit in the chat. I'm going to be putting the certificate of attendance for your recertification credit. But before I go, Marvin, thank you so much. Dr. Marvin is in an airport right now. And so I'm just feeling super honored that you're with us today. Thank you so much. Any last words from you, Marvin?
Just thank you for everyone. I think the next step for this work would include supporting you all, the HR leaders, and operationalizing and advancing the work, not just for Opportunity Youth, but for all untapped talent pools. So thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, We're officially adjourned. I am just going to go to the last slide here. If you want to contact me, or if you have any questions, you can reach me here in the chat. I am going to put the link to the certificate of attendance. That includes your PDC codes for from HRCI and for SHRM. So put that in right away. And you'll also be getting this via email. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for helping put this on. And we're done 4 minutes before